This was the presentation we made at 14 June 2017 at IS for SI 2017 in Gothenburg, Sweden. My name is Moisés André Sembão. I did this work with Lena Vânia, Ribeiro Pinheiro, and José Abdala Leal Neto. The name of our work is Information Analysis of Foundation of Information Science, named FIS, Information Exchange. Well, Foundations of Information Science is an initiative that started at 1992 by Michael Conrad and Pedro Marijuán. It was about a different perspective of information science. Well, FIS has a mailing list, and our work analyzes this mailing list. Okay. The main questions of this research are: firstly, what topics were discussed in FIS mailing list between 1997 and 2016? Well, the FIS began at 1992, but the mailing list started at 1997. Okay, the second question: how the topics of distribution ranked? And third, what are the most productive users of this mailing list? Okay, so it is a quantitative research. Okay. Previously, a researcher called Shushan Yang in China made a work of analyzing these messages too, but he did a qualitative work, and he did this work with messages beginning in 1997 to 2007. Okay. It was a more comprehensive work. It was a chapter in his book. It is in Chinese, but Shushan sent it to me, and I used the Google Translator. It was very good, so I could understand what he did. It was a very nice work. Okay, but this work is quantitative, is different. Okay, and we went until 2016. Okay. I intend to discuss some statements that is in FIS side, like FIS is a unifying perspective on the different approaches to information. What is information science and what is information? Okay. These three statements are in FIS official site, and we will try to figure out what this is with the numbers we collected. Okay. How did we do this work? Okay. How was the methodology? First of all, I want to show you which data source we used. We used the messages archives. Okay, all the messages in FIS mailing list are stored in three archives. Okay, here is two of them. This one starting in the beginning, 1997 until 2007, and the second this all the new messages goes automatically to there. Let me show what is this. Let me open one of these. Okay, so here you have all the messages in this index page. Okay, if you click one of the messages, you have here a file, an HTML file with the message. Okay, so what it did was we used a software called HTTrack. And with this software, we downloaded all the site to a computer. Okay, so we could analyze this index page here and all other messages. Okay, so that's what we did. Firstly, we extract some data from the site. That was the data, the date here. Okay, the date, the abstract of the message, and also the author of the message. We extracted these three information from the site, and we did it and put it in an Excel spreadsheet. Okay, here are the subjects, authors, and date. Okay, then with this data we analyzed the first message of each thread. In a mailing list, somebody starts the discussion. In this mailing list, this discussion is moderated. So Pedro Maria Juan, who is the moderator of the list, choose the abstract of the sessions and start the sessions. So we analyze the first and second messages of each thread and classify them. Okay, this message classification in the first moment was based in this page here. It's one of the pages of official site, and we have here all the discussion sessions. Okay, starting in 1998, but it was easy to get in 1997. Okay, so we have here the name of the sessions. So it was the first classification we did. Okay, we have about 50 subjects here. Okay, but we had to add more 16, and we have a total of 66 categories here. Okay, here in this column. So we did this. Okay, we put all here. Well, of course, it was a huge number of categories. So we reduced this number of categories to 32, grouping the topics. Okay, we grouped the topics, and we classified. The classification was with 32 topics. Then we used mainly the pivot table of resource of Excel. Okay, to compilation of results. So I will show you now the results. The first result I would like to show you is the annual evolution of the number of messages posted in this forum. Okay. Also, we have in this graphic the conferences that was about the FIS mailing list, okay, or the FIS initiative. We have the first one here, Paris, Beijing, Moscow, and Vienna, and now this one, Gothenburg, that we are presenting now. Okay, so we can see that right after each conference, a rise in the number of messages in the list. Okay, so I believe that it is related. Okay, the conference and the rise of messages. Here, this effect is not so strong, and here also the effect. But we see that 2004 was the champion. Okay, it has almost 600 messages this year. Okay, so we can see in more details this specific year. Okay, here are the grouped topics of this year, and information and physics is in the first place. Here also we have this term here, consilience. It is interesting work. This term was coined firstly by William Wilbell in 1840, and it means it has to do with scientific consensus. It was interesting because a Brazilian researcher called Gilda Braga had already studied this term, okay, and she related it with interdisciplinarity. That was a surprise to see this, a good surprise to see this in FIS list, okay, and another topics are here also. Definition of information, biological information, etc. Okay, here we have the table of 32 topics. Here the first part, and the next slide the second part of the table. Here we see, in these topics, there's 32 topics are ranked here in the terms of the number of messages. So we have in first place here information and physics. Then we can say that FIS members like very much to discuss physics and information. Physics of information or information of physics, or both. Okay? And we see also this definition of information in second place. Announcement do not count because announcements are only awful papers or Congress calls, etc. So in the second place we have definition of information. We see that information and physics and the definition of information, we see that they are discussed all over the years. So it is a recurrent topic, okay? And definition of information, it seems that we have more and more discussed, so it is an open discussion. Okay? Another thing that we see is that information is discussed in many contexts. For example, social context, biological context, neuroscience context, and etc. You see, we see also, as somebody talked to us about this, we see also that these categories are not exclusive. It means that we have here information theory. Of course, definition of information is inside information theory, but messages that are here are not here. Okay, we put each message in one and only one category. Okay, And how did we decide this? We decided this because the subject of messages has, for example, definition of information more strong than information theory, that we decide to put in one category instead of other. Obviously, biological information also has definition of information and etc. So we could really choose which category to put the message, okay? Here it is the second part of the table, showing the less discussed topics, okay? Surprisingly, we see information science here, because FIS is about information science, so it was expected that it would be more discussed, but it wasn't, okay? And the other topics we see here are concentrated in one period of time, so mainly it was specific topics of somebody, okay? Good. Let's see in more details information and physics. Information and physics is a grouped topic, okay? And this grouped topic was formed with these topics here: information and physics, information physics, information and physics that was in the very beginning of the list, discussed 1998, information physics that was discussed in 2002, entropy and information, 2006, the nature of microphysical information, 2010, quantum Bayesianism that was discussed recently in 2014. Right? Then we have the second result here. That is the ranking of the authors. Here is the top 10 authors of the list. Okay? Of course, Pedro Marijuán is in first place because he is the moderator of the list, and he is very advanced moderator. Okay? He posts very much in the list, 871 messages. And here we have Larderstoff with many messages too: Stanley, John, Joseph, Gerald, etc. Here, Rafael Capurro, Stephen, and Carl. Okay, they are the top 10 of the list. But I think this fourth column here is very interesting. It shows the interest areas of the authors. Okay, we see here we have many areas. Okay, so we have a multidisciplinary discussion list, and I think because of this we have very rich discussions. Okay, so you have information discussed by physicists, biologists, philosophists, chemistry, ethics, etc. So it was it can be a very good discussion list. Okay. Okay. So we saw the results, and here we will do a small discussion about our results. We see here we have a statement by Pedro Marijuán that it is in his site forum. Okay, he said that the informational process, which demands both a unifying and a multi-perspective approach. Okay, these apparently contradictory terms, in fact, are complementary, and raises this discussion about a non-reductionist, unified definition of information. we saw that the discussion around definition of information are very strong in the list, okay? They seems that it will never end, okay? So, what we have here about this, a consensus. Most of the members of the list says that information is context dependent. Okay. In another work, I asked some scientists that was working in information science, and I asked them, what is information? Many of them firstly said, I don't know. Of course, nobody knows what is information, they said. However, they could define the concept of information precisely in their own contexts. Okay, for example, Pedro and Bob Logan, Pedro Marijuana and Bob Logan. For them, information is essentially biotic. Okay, living beings exchange information to live. It is essential for living, the exchange of information. But to a quantum computing guy that I had a conversation, Brazilian one, for him, quantum information is his object of study. Quantum information is obviously abiotic. Okay? So, context is very important. And there was a discussion, many discussions about this problem of definition of information. And firstly, I would present you the discussion that it is in Rafael Capurro's site, and it was discussed what they called Capurro's trilemma. Okay, he discussed it with two more researchers about if a unified theory of information is feasible or not. Okay, and they concluded, basically, Rafael concluded with the discussion that it was a philosophical discussion, so we have many dialectics in this discussion, but mainly it's not easy to make this non-reductionist theory of information that have all definitions of information inside it. But we have on the other side Mark Burchin, a mathematician, and he made this book. Here is very good book about information theory, and he has a very comprehensive work here showing that it is possible to do a theory of information that is unified. Okay, so the discussion is open. Okay, and about information science. Some time ago, I had a conversation with Pedro and asked him if information science could be as important as physics is, because in the first page of the site, the official site, he said that 4 great domains of science should be physical, biological, social, and informational. So, information science should be one of the great domains of science. And he said, well, information science is not as important as physical science. Okay, it's more important, he said. And he gave me the following example. Imagine you are in an autonomous car. What is important to know? How the engine works, or all the informative process related to the cross movement? And the answer is obviously the information process are very important. So we have today, in modern words, informational things really important, and information science is about it. It's not only about retrieving information or storing information and etc. It's about also all the processes we have today, especially in the information society. Well, finally, the last but not the least, I would like to show the levels of research that are interdisciplinary. Okay, so interdisciplinarity is a very polemic topic also, but Ocapombo said that many of the researchers about interdisciplinarity agree in one thing, that interdisciplinarity has 3 levels, and this name in reality is the middle level. Okay? In the bottom level we have multidisciplinarity. That is, disciplines or researchers of knowledge areas working in parallel. Okay, for example, you have a common problem to solve, you call many specialists and they work together, but they are not so interested in the other's area. Okay? So in a higher level we have interdisciplinarity, and this interdisciplinarity is about convergence. Okay, people working in distinct areas work together, and the boundaries of the disciplines are crossed in interdisciplinarity. Okay, so if someone have a theory here, he can use resources from other disciplines, and he can access this and use it and mix it with his area, but the specialists are yet in his own area. And the higher level is the transdisciplinarity. In this level we have a fusion. We have some convergence that we reach the fusion. For example, where we have physics working together with biology, creating a new discipline called biophysics. In this level, we have transdisciplinarity. Okay? For this work, reading the messages, I saw that I believe that this mailing list, FIS mailing list, is multidisciplinary. Okay, works. The researchers, the authors, the members of the list works together, but in parallel. Okay, I think in the future it could be happen that they work one taking a piece of the work of the water, but it's not the case yet. Okay, so that was what I will want to talk to you. Thank you very much.